Have things changed for the Texans? The Damon Arnett opinions, one of them generates a little more attention than others. And what will make? It is Landry Locker, Cody Stutz with you. It is SNO. It is kind of the downtime. We are very close to the start of training camp. We're about 35 days away, give or take a day. Cody, the Damon Arnett thing, now that we've kind of taken it in, what's your takeaway from this? Because I kind of feel like he might not make the team.
That's the part that probably doesn't get focused on enough. He's got the lengthy off the field history and the various gun charges and the threats and the substance charges and all those various things. He very well could just miss the football team, not make the 53-man roster because of football reasons. He may just not be a good enough football player to be on the football team, and they may have enough options that they like at that backup cornerback spot that they turn to instead of a guy like Damon Arnett. Again, he hasn't played real football or he hasn't played NFL football since 2021.
Shots fired at the UFL.
And then
real football.
I'm not going to pretend that the UFL is on the same level as the NFL, and nobody else should pretend that either. But he hasn't played NFL level football in 4 years, so I get he's got a little bit of experience. It's not like he had like 20-something games of awesome play before the gun charge got him released. Like, he was hurt when he got released. So he's got a little bit of experience, but
the gun thing was a result of someone telling him that he sucked. And I broke this down yesterday on the stream. I went through the whole thread, but it was a result of someone telling him that he sucked.
Well, I'm talking about the football player on the field. Like, it's not like he showcased some amazing football talent.
But it was because someone slid in his DMs and told him that he was bad.
Right. Like, the football player is not ever showcased on the football field in professional football that he is an amazing football player. So from a football standpoint, he may not make the team. And that's something that I don't think everybody gives enough credence to.
Yeah, and the other thing is it's generating a lot of reaction. And we've talked about this for a while, and we talked about it when they worked out Arnett. Are the Texans willing to bring in a guy who has that kind of track record? And I've been preaching for this to happen for a long time. So I want to make it very clear. I've been a guy who has said, be open to bringing in guys with character concerns, especially if you have this culture that you hype up. Like, be open to that. And we did not know, because the Texans for a long time, they were not willing to do that. And now it's apparent that they're willing to do that. And I think it's also interesting that they're doing it on the aftermath of what happened with Jimmy Ward, which we don't know what's going to be the result of the Jimmy Ward thing. I know his attorneys come out and said what he said, but Cal and Hannah, they're either staying out of the way or they are far removed from the Bob McNair philosophy. And we've all known this for a long time, but it's interesting to see just the way that this whole thing is kind of playing out when it comes to Damon Arnett, I guess, getting an opportunity to make the team.
That's all he's getting. It's not like he got some sort of massive contract extension and they co-signed like his history. Like, he's getting a shot. He's getting a spot in a 90-man roster to have an opportunity to make the football team. But yeah, Bob McNair never would have gone for this. And the people that Bob McNair hired to run his football team wouldn't have gone down this road, because that's not what Bob McNair would have wanted. And that's not the type of player Bob McNair wanted on the Houston Texans.
Now, the other element of this, and we're going to get to John McClain. John McClain set the internet off. How do you feel when it comes to, because on one side of the argument you hear, well, he's just a number 3 or number 4 corner. And then on the other side, it's like, well, you shouldn't roll the dice on someone who's going to make a minimal impact and sacrifice what you believe in. Does it feel like perhaps maybe the Texans are kind of setting the table for something bigger in the future?
But see, I disagree with your second part of the element. This is the perfect guy to start with. This is the entry-level bet. You don't immediately walk in and put all the money on the table right away. You go test things out. You go warm things up. This is the perfect type of player to test the culture. This is the perfect type of player.
Because it shows that you're willing to maybe be a little bit more lenient when it comes to a past, and then it's like not as much of a shock. Is that what you mean?
Well, DeMeco Ryans always says when a guy walks in the building, he didn't care about the past. Is what can you do for me for the future? Well,
he also says we want great people and we want great players and all that.
Sure. Well, you know what Damon Arnett's done for the better part of a year? Kid stayed out of trouble. I mean, he talked about this. I read Aaron's big interview about it. Like, he had to go appeal to the UFL to even play in the UFL. They wouldn't let him play last year. And so he had to go appeal. They had to say, all right, yeah, you're good enough. You know, you stayed out of trouble enough to then play in the UFL. And so he stayed out of trouble. I would tell you the first sign of trouble, he gets the axe just like Deontay Johnson gets.
Well, the UFL thing is interesting because I talked to Jacques. Jacques actually sent his interview to Moose Johnston, who kind of oversees stuff for the UFL. And the text was because Jacques got a message from Arnett's uncle, who's a cardiologist in Dallas. And you know how close I am with Jacques Taylor. He's my boy. Like it's not like a fake media friend. That's my dog right there. But he did the interview with Damon Arnett because his uncle kind of reached out to him. And Jacques said that he actually texted Moose the interview and he told him, hey, these are all the questions that y'all would probably want answered. And apparently like that had a big hand, Moose Johnston looking at that and getting him back in the UFL. So there was like kind of a whole process of the manner in which it went about with Damon Arnett. The thing for me though is, does it matter if, like, let's say Damon Arnett goes to camp and he's terrible. Let's say he's awful and he doesn't belong and all that. Does it look like you sacrificed your standards, or does it look like you actually at least just like put your toe in the water and let them know that, like, let's say there's another Antonio Brown situation where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sign Antonio Brown and the Texans are open to it. Does it kind of at least let you know what the philosophy is?
To me, it's definitely I feel like you have to constantly test the situation because none of them are exactly the same. Like Deontay Johnson is very different than Damon Arnett. Deontay Johnson didn't have any legal issues off the field. Deontay Johnson just seems like he's a turd and doesn't understand that, you know, he's not good enough to demand the football. You know, if Deontay Johnson was Terrell Owens, he never would have left Pittsburgh, you know? So I think you constantly test what you have created and test what you built if you're the Texans for the ultimate get-together scenario where you say, hey, this player, something really bad in his past, the talent's way up here, can we handle it? Because if you can't handle Damon Arnett, you could never handle the next Antonio Brown. You can never handle a George Pickens. Like, again, these are low-stakes situations. Deontay Johnson was the fifth wide receiver. Damon Arnett's at best going to be the third cornerback, and that's if he's awesome. So it's like these are lower stakes, but you want to test what you can handle with those lower stakes. If you can't handle the lower stakes, if that's an issue at low stakes, why would it ever be something that you test at high stakes?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I actually think the Deontay Johnson stuff is worse. Like for me, like I feel I would be less inclined to roll the dice with a dumbass like Deontay Johnson than I would someone like Damon Arnett, who like screwed up and made mistakes and a lot of self-harm. I think that Deontay Johnson just doesn't have football instincts. He's selfish. He can't figure out the situation. So like if someone messes up off the field, regardless of the why, I would be more willing to roll the dice with a Arnett or something like that than I would a Deontay Johnson. Cause I think Deontay Johnson is just a selfish football player and he has no grasp. I would much be more willing to roll the dice with Arnett.
Well, and you're catching Deontay Johnson before the "I'm sorry I messed up, let me fix it" tour. Like that's what Damon Arnett's on.
He's been on 3 of those. He's been on 3 of those.
You know, Deontay Johnson. Okay, guys get shipped out of Pittsburgh like it happens, and then he's a turd in Carolina. He's a turd on the Baltimore Ravens. He gets here, they win a playoff game. He's pouting at his locker. Aziz Al-Shire has to go over there and basically explain to him, hey, you look like a dumbass. And then the Texans are like, see you later.
Let's also be honest. He I feel inclined. I can say this now. He demanded to speak to D'Amico before D'Amico left the building. And I know y'all might not have really heard that, but we talked about it on Reaction Monday, how awkward it was. Apparently, he also demanded after a coach won a playoff game to speak to him before he left the building as a guy who was just supposed to be kind of a plug and play type of receiver.
Yeah. So again, I think those two players, though they're both tests of the culture, those two players are in very different situations and scenarios. Deontay Johnson may never accept that he has, whatever issues he has and that he was in the wrong. He may always think that he's in the right. Damon Arnett's basically said, I knew I jacked up. I know I got to be on the straight and narrow. This is one of the last chances I'm ever going to get to, make football my career, make football my life. It's like they're very different, but okay, Damon Arnett. And that's another thing too. Like if Arnett's on the straight and narrow as he arrives and stays there, yeah, you can take a little bit of credit. It's also like, good job, Damon Arnett, if he stays on the straight and narrow and doesn't make any more mistakes. Like you can't, they're very case by case. But if he got in the building and people were like, I don't really know about this guy. Like he said he was trying to turn it around and he's not actually trying. It's like, okay, well, let's see if we can get him on the straight and narrow. Okay, we got him. We course corrected him. But you test it so that when the big question comes up, when the next Antonio Brown comes up, when the next Tyreek Hill comes up, hey, can we handle this? Is this going to be a distraction for our locker room? Is it going to be a distraction for our team? Can we sustain as a team to benefit from the on the field talent because the off the field's a mess?
Well, and the other thing is, I don't know any great team that really hasn't benefited from that in some way, shape, or form. So, do the Texans want to be great or not? Like, do they want to have this imaginary choir boy where? I mean, I don't think it's really working. Like, it's not like you've had a lot of success. You've been mediocre since the beginning. Let's just be serious, and you haven't had like the ultimate success. So you kind of got to open it up. So I'm okay with it. HDAV Traveler, shout out to you, my friend.
Swarm.
As well as Stone Alone 5 times. The man, the myth, the legend. Don't F with Stone Alone. The other thing that I think is interesting when it comes to the Arnett thing is some of the reaction. And I think the guy who generated the most reaction, by the way, he's going to join me on my night stream tomorrow at 10:30.
There you go.
John McClain. John McClain got him fired up on his Twitter. Read the tweet in your best John McClain impression, Cody.
I can't believe the Texans lowered their standards like this. Bob McNair would be appalled. And then it's the Damon Arnett via the ESPN app, which I found funny for McClain to say this. After earlier in the day, he had retweeted me and my comment about you build a culture to bring a guy like this
He's
in.
very retweet friendly.
Sure. And retweets from McClain don't really feel like endorsements. Like it's like he's like saying, yeah, absolutely, I agree with this guy. It just feels like he's trying to get info out to people that follow him, which I understand. But, he had to read what I thought and say, people need to see this. But then what he had to say was this, and he's not wrong. Bob McNair never would have wanted Damon Arnett near the Texans.
No, and the other thing is, like, because I did this yesterday, and I talked about this on the night stream. They've definitely lowered their standards, and I know standards is kind of looked at as like a sense of, there's two definitions of standards, and I will bring up the dictionary, which I often do. I did this with general soreness. I'm going to do it now with standards for John McClain. But you look at standard, there's two definitions of it. The first definition is a level or quality of attainment, which, yeah, if you're talking about quality, all that, there's kind of some sensitivity. The other one is an idea or thing used as a measure, norm, or model in comparative evaluations. So based on the definition of standards, the Texans had standards as to how they would or would not bring in guys. And it's like academic standards. Like there's a set number. If you've had a run-in with the cops, there's a chance you were not going to be a Houston Texan with Bob McNair. Period, point blank, end of story. That was his measured standard. They've obviously changed that. We've talked about this for a while. So I think there's like kind of a desire to pounce on anything John McClain says. I also think there's like a set thought in what John McClain is. Dude, he's woke as fuck. Like, I'm not trying to be like, I'm not trying to like sit there and generalize him, but y'all are treating him like he's like a freaking dude. McClain's woke. Okay. I don't want to like blow his cover, but it's kind of clear that McClain's a little bit woke. So it's a weird thing to kind of go at McClain for, because what he's saying is actually, it's true. We've talked about it. And we, at least me, I won't speak for you, I think it's a good thing that they've changed their standards. I think it's a good thing.
Here's the thing. If you say that their standards have changed, you're doing something that Landry Locker hates with the fury of 1,000 suns. You're generalizing, because they changed their standards for a couple of players here and there. They still overwhelmingly add players that are high character players that have squeaky clean track records. You just look at their draft classes. Like, they overwhelmingly, the additions that Nick Caserio has made, especially players that they're counting on, there's not that many black marks in the resumes and reputations of those players. I'm not going to say everyone's perfect. There's a couple of players that they rely on or have relied on that have some weird stuff in their history that maybe wouldn't be thumbs up for everybody, from, not getting along to teammates to off the field stuff. But I mean, for the most part, they still have a desire to have mostly squeaky clean players. Look at their draft classes.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. But I mean, what he said, there was no problem to it. And we'll see what this means in the future and what goes down with the Texans. On the chat, Chase asked the question. We've already entertained this. Would you draft OJ knowing what he does in the future? I would 100%. And it was 20 years after the fact. So it's not like the Buffalo Bills didn't have to answer questions for OJ. 100%. I would, if you told me the Texans could get Aaron Hernandez in the 5th round this year, I would take him. Let him play. I wouldn't give him the next contract though. No, you gotta. Yeah, he's gonna play. Yeah, the rookie deal. Yeah, we're not getting the extension.
Yeah,
but yeah, I would 100% take him, and I think that's kind of the balance. And I think there's kind of a balance of, like, I always call it meat riding with players and stuff like that. But you understand that, like, there's second chances, there's other stuff, but that's kind of the balance that Bob McNair had. And I thought Bob McNair was way too far on one side, and we don't quite know where the Texans are. But we do know that Nick Caserio and the Patriots, they were willing to roll the dice in a number of ways, a number of examples, from on-field stuff to off-field stuff. And it was a big part of why they were successful.
They also, they'd spent a decade and a half building a situation that was a lot easier to bring those guys into. If the Texans are, in 2030, if they're the 9-time AFC South champions under D'Amico Ryans, I guess the years don't make sense on that, but let's say they win 9 out of the next 10 years of the division, they win a Super Bowl, they are constantly in the AFC picture, and they want to draft a guy who, had an off the field issue where he got arrested, or they want to bring in a free agent because another team wants to get rid of him because of an off the field issue. It'll be a little bit easier to see how it might work out than, hey, again, it's Damon Arnett, who is the 3rd cornerback in a best case scenario. Like, it's not like this is a guy that they're going to have to rely on right off the bat at a super high value position.
But I do think from the future, and this is a question you asked in pre-show, is this a new way of doing things? I do think it at least, like, if an Antonio Brown was on the market 2 weeks ago, I would have said probably not. But now you at least like, well, maybe.
Well, again, yeah, they're going to try if they feel comfortable. Try, and I wonder what they've learned from the riskier. None of them have been like super risky, but like, I wonder what they've learned from the two scenarios that I would point to right now. What did they learn from Deontay Johnson? And they might not have learned anything about themselves. They might have just learned Deontay Johnson's a dumbass. But what did they learn for Stephon Diggs? Stephon Diggs didn't. I mean, there's not an off the field history like legal issues with Stephon Diggs. But a lot of people in Buffalo were pretty content to tell you he's an issue in the locker room. And, did that work out? Did they like having him in the locker room? Was it a positive? Would it have worked throughout the course of the year? Would they have brought him back at the end of the year? Like, did they learn anything from Stephon Diggs? Because, again, you're constantly testing what you've created to see what they can handle.
By the way, I don't know if Chase knows that OJ died. Do you think?
I don't think Chase knows that OJ's dead.
I don't think Chase. I think OJ's death kind of slipped through the mind of Chase. He says he's a hell of a fantasy football analyst now. Is he talking about for Jesus?
I seem to remember OJ's fantasy takes being pretty tepid.
No, they were They were like, "Oh, my fantasy team." It wasn't like he wasn't like giving advice. He was just talking about like more of his fantasy team.
Yeah, Chase, OJ's dead.
On the soup.
You ain't never had.
I'm sorry. Did you say Jesus' fantasy team?
Yeah, he might be. Well, Satan's.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Satan's. Hey, listen, rewind that. Let's dump that. Satan's fantasy team. My bad. My that's a bad one by me. Maybe I'm too fascinated by the story. Satan has a fantasy analyst in OJ Simpson, perhaps. On the chat. And Damon Arnett, is he a test case? Perhaps. Maybe this is a toe in the water. I don't know. I don't.
If the only reason you create culture is because you only want those type of players on your team, then what does culture actually matter? Like,
by the way, can we admit though that I'm going to start calling him Reggie Arnett? Because I like Arnett, and actually, JJT's actually putting in a word for me with when it comes to Arnett. So I think we'll have a decent relationship. Aaron Wilson has the real good relationship with him. He's been kind of on that same, but. You remember the Bad Boy scene where they answer the door and Reggie's there and they're like, "Man, you at least 30."
Yeah, that's a good one.
By the way, Reggie was a badass in the latest Bad Boys. It was great. It was that kind of a heartwarming type of display.
I haven't seen the most recent one.
You should. It's good.
Okay.
Reggie's a badass. Yeah, check it out. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's not like great, but it's good. Dude, Damon Arnett looks like he's at least 40. There is some wear and tear on that. Dude, pull up a pic. Pull like a recent pic of Arnett, because this dude's in his 20s, man.
He's 28.
Look at this dude. That looks like a semi-pro league out there at a Houston park. Bunch of beer belly dudes. My man looks old. You get a little bit closer. At least 40, man.
I mean,
I'm rooting for you though, bro.
He's got a scene, your biggest critic when you realize you screwed up is going to be yourself.
Someone says wrong team, homie. Chase says RIP, the glove don't fit. Yeah, not Jesus. Yeah, we got that back.
Yeah, he's not, they're not doing fantasy drafts in heaven with OJ.
So I thought this was an interesting thing. And this was one of my takeaways yesterday. Sim Sam says that Mama Hannah is about second chances. I'm always like laughing about this notion that Hannah McNair is like making personnel calls or decisions. I think it's funny. I think she's writing like vocal checks a lot of times, and she has a lot to say. And I'm sure, obviously, she probably influences Cal, but I kind of think this is. I think there's a different way of looking at this. I think the McNairs don't meddle, and I think this is what John McClain is saying. Like, they don't meddle, and Bob McNair, a lot of times he meddled. Like, let's just be real. Like, rest in peace. Like, I feel like Bob McNair got treated very poorly on the back end of his life. And I'm on the record of saying that in the moment. I'm not one of these people who's like kind of rewriting history and trying to buddy up with Cal and Hannah after the fact and crapping on him on the back end. Like, I think that I think that Bob McNair meddled. We saw it with Brock Osweiler. Hey, go get me a quarterback, Rick. And they go get Brock Osweiler, and it ends up being a complete disaster. I think that the biggest takeaway here, like if you want to look at this Arnett thing, I'm not going to speak for Hannah. I've had conversations with Hannah. Me and Hannah have argued, like we've disagreed, like all that, on air, off air, all that. I think if you asked Hannah off air and out of the public, like what she thought about the Arnett signing before, and this is based on nothing, I think she would have probably like rolled her eyes at it, especially based on the risk reward. But I think this is more symbolic of the fact that Cal and Hannah just stay out of the way and let D'Amico and Caserio make their decision. This is not Hannah stepping in and pounding the table for Damon Arnett. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's they're hands off. They're hands off on the football.
Yeah, they're not telling you what to do.
They're trying to figure out how to build a few $billion practice facility right now.
What would Hannah's opinion be if they asked, should we sign Damon Arnett? I think it would be no. I think it would be no.
I think she'd probably have to do some research on who he is.
Okay. And then what would the opinion be after that research?
The opinion? I think she'd say, I wouldn't do it, but if you want to do it, go ahead.
Exactly. She's hands off. So we agree with that.
Yeah. Like, you get a check from McNair Industries every month that lets you do whatever the hell you want to do with the football side of things. Go do it.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
HDAV says, to quote John McClain, they will cut his footballs off if they need to. He knows John McClain. Touch of Trent says, we've never won anything, LOL, so there is no standard. Shut up, John. Fair.
Well, you can have standards and not have championships.
And them not work out. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they have standards. They don't draft small school guys. They have standards that this past year, they didn't draft guys that had short playing histories. Almost all these guys play multiple years and were healthy throughout all of it. Like they have standards. Their standards hasn't led to a championship.
J Merck C says, I don't disagree, but if you read John, God, he used the T word. But if you read John McClain's condescending tone, then it has different meaning. LOL, which I think most people read in that way. I've always, I think I was actually talking about this with you earlier today. I'm always intrigued when someone says tone when talking about something. I think it's really, really weird because what are you a daycare teacher? Are you a elementary school teacher? Like what does that mean? Like his tone, like his how did you tell what John McClain's tone was on that?
That'd have been tough to assume.
Yeah, I don't really understand that.
That's probably one of the biggest failings in our society in the way that we interact with other humans now is the assumption of meaning, definition, and tone in written word. Because you really used to not consume that much of your friend's written word.
I don't care about your tone. Like I just want to know the message.
Yeah, I think the only way you can like discern tone is if you hear it spoken by the person.
Well, you're also talking down to someone when you question their tone.
Yeah.
Like when you use the word tone, watch your tone. Like that's what your parents say to you. It's always kind of weird. I feel like anytime that tone has been questioned, like over time, it feels like the person who's delivering the message of tone is usually on the wrong side. It doesn't make sense. I like the tones, like saying tone is weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, tone to me really should primarily be used in literature and books. It's like, what kind of tone were you going here for? Well, I was trying to make it eerie and scary. Well, it kind of came off as hilarious. You should change some words.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure. Yeah. Let's go. H-Town says, what does woke actually mean? I mean, I'm sure there's like some meaning to this. It means that McLean's not some old, crusty ass effing white guy that he's being treated like when he said what he said. That's what it is. Like he's McLean, like
he's more forward thinking than his appearance would let on.
yeah, and I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong or anything like that, but I'm saying like the guy knows Bob McNair better than probably 70% of his family members. Like from a football perspective, yeah, from like a football perspective and a philosophy and what a standard might have been. Like I might be going low, but he knows Bob McNair better than anyone when it comes to like football philosophy and stuff. So take it for what it is, but it's kind of like the message. Like, what do you think, Bob? All right, let's role play. Cody, I'm going to put you on the spot. You ready?
I'm ready.
So you're going to be above all of us. You're in heaven. You're not OJ. You're not in hell.
Okay.
You're in heaven. And you're looking down on us and you're Bob McNair. And I want you to, on the scene, I want you to react to the news that the Texans signed Damon Arnett in the role of Bob McNair. Ready, go.
Why'd we sign that guy? Look at what he's done. That's not what the Texans stand for. That's not the type of player we want in our building. You should have found somebody else instead of him. I think that's what Bob McNair would have said if somebody walked into his office and said, sir, we're signing Damon Arnett.
Okay. I think that was good, man. It was really good. This is a guy who used to do improv on the reg, by the way. Y'all might not know that about Cody. He used to go to the Lubbock Improv.
I was a part of the Texas Tech improv troupe.
Yeah. That was good, man.
You never came and saw a show.
I wasn't there when that was happening.
I know, but you never came and saw one, so you don't know if it's good or bad.
That would not be something that I would do. I've been back to Tech one time, and it was on a private plane to go see a football game. That was it.
Yeah, but you can't say if it was good or bad. It was mostly bad.
I can say without seeing.
Yeah, but you're giving me too much credit. It wasn't good. It was bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, but you just said it was good.
DeRhino says, I demand to speak to Landry before y'all end the stream.
Is he trying to set a tone with you?
I don't know. Is there a tone? The Rhino said talk to McLean yesterday, I think on the tweet. I went through the tweet, like the reactions. I'm not sure. I don't know what I'm getting spoken to for. I love the Rhino though.
I think he was trying to make an example of tone.
Yeah, tone. I don't know about tone. Don't know. But yeah. Anyway.
There's someone famous named Tone. Isn't there a famous Tone?
Like a Tony?
Well, that's Tone is what the guys called him in the Soprano. They called Tony Soprano in the. But like, isn't there like somebody named Tone that's famous?
Don't know.
Okay, wait. I was asking.
All right, this is a little crazy, AJ.
Substances, weapons, and rap sheet misdemeanors.
That's what swarm is.
How did he?
AJ says swarm equals substance, weapons,
and rap sheet misdemeanors.
And rap sheet misdemeanors. Damon says, oh no, don't drop your address and pull a piece, Landry. I wouldn't be like that with the Rhino. I did always defend Damon Arnett with that, though. And you remember, because I told this story yesterday on my stream. My dad was like, I can't believe that shit. But You remember when that dude came up to us at Wendy's that was like extra nice?
Yes.
When we were eating at Wendy's. And then I asked him his Twitter and he got kind of weird about it. And then I looked at it and I didn't really say anything like to you when he was there, but I just kind of was like, oh yeah, you're a little crazy on there. And then we left. Dude, he had talked about my wife, daughter, like all this type of stuff. And I was like, that was the nicest guy in the world. And he came up basically like as humble as possible. Like that kind of like connects to the Damon Arnett thing. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that kind of speaks to how weird social media is now. Like people are calling John McClain a fat ass. And it's like, dude, he knows he's a fat ass. Like I'm going to go eat with him at the Ambassador tomorrow. He's going to order double egg rolls. He's going to eat the hell out of the rice. He's going to like what
Extra sauce on the side.
Yeah. Like what are we doing like with the way that we talk to people online? But I remember the Wendy's thing and I was just like, damn, bro. Like, and it wasn't even, it's just kind of like a way of life. But like, he was comfortable enough talking to me like that, like about wife and daughter, and then coming up to me and like saying, hey man, like, what's up? I love y'all stuff, blah, blah, blah. And like giving the background. I was like, oh, what's your Twitter? And then you look it up and I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not like some sort of hard. I mean, I would have like if we walked through a dark alley, me and that guy, like it wouldn't have been too pretty, but it was just weird. It's a weird thing.
You tried to you beat him up?
I mean, if no, I'm saying like if it's a dark alley, like the dark alley theory is always like, would you be able to walk out alive?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not like that. Like I'm not. It's not like, hey, if this were somewhere else. No,
these hands are deadly weapons.
No, it's like, why are you
easy
like
Con
that?
Air.
I remember I talked to someone who was like one time like intensely like getting mad, like talking like crazy, and I was like, man, like why are you talking like that? And it's like it's not a matter of like a flex. It's a matter like Brock Lesnar would not talk to anyone like that. Like John Jones would never, Mike Tyson would never talk to anyone like that online. Like it's like why are you even talking like that?
Yeah,
it's crazy. Way of the world.
I figured out my famous Tony or tone, so to speak.
Okay.
It's not Tone E Hawk, Kyle. That's funny.
Did you ever play Tony Hawk video games? I never got into that. Did you?
For one summer I did. I had a demo that was 2 levels of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I think it's 3. And I played the demo because that was all I needed.
But you just played the demo, but you didn't actually buy the game, right?
I didn't buy the game. I just played the demo like all summer long, just the 2 levels. In fact, I think I only played 1 level. Really, it was the warehouse level. And I like got better and better and better. And then I went over to like a friend's house. I was like, oh, I've played this. And they're like, yeah. So we started on the level that I played a bunch and I crushed them. And then we played a level that I'd never played before. And I was like, awful. He's like, why are you so bad? He's like, you were good on that one. I was like, I've played that level a million times.
What were the video games you played that were centered around hobbies that you didn't like? Like, because obviously you were an EA Sports guy.
Yeah.
I loved NHL, like mid to late 90s, like NHL. And I like hockey. I actually loved 90s hockey. I thought it was great from like 95 to 01. But were there any like games that you played that you didn't necessarily like the hobby? I know we went through a Wii golf phase, didn't we?
I never played Wii golf with you.
That might have been before you got to Lubbock.
Anytime I've played like a golf video game, I don't golf. I don't watch golf. Every now and then I bet on it. That's fine.
Wii golf was sick, bro.
And then
next level.
And then soccer. I used to not like soccer, but I'd play the crap out of FIFA.
FIFA.
And now I don't like FIFA, and I'll throw on a soccer game every now and then, you know.
Yeah, FIFA and Tony Hawk were 2 of them.
Yeah, that's way up there. Way up there. But the famous Tone that I was thinking of, Tone Loc.
Who?
The rapper.
Who?
Wild Thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're going way back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sitting here acting like of the famous Tones, he's the most famous, is he not?
By the way, No, I won't say that. That would be goofy.
Well, you're robbing the people now.
Nah, I can't do it.
Don't rob the
I had a
people.
really long text exchange today with my boy, Paul Wall. Like,
Oh,
real
yeah?
long. Yeah, real long, like extra long. Like extra long text exchange. I think it was really interesting, like back in his day, how they had, and this was like paragraphs long. I know I'm emphasizing long, pause, but like how they had to like kind of
Hustle.
they had to go on the street and like go all the way over Texas and like get their word out and get their word of mouth out. And nowadays you can just get your music out like nothing. And I asked him if he thought they would have been better in this era or that, and he very long. Well, I think I'm actually going to have him on the stream and kind of talk about this type of hustle, but he gave a pretty good answer. I think he basically says like the hustle kind of helped.
Made him better.
Yeah, and I think so too, like in the long term especially.
I can see that.
Because I mean, they were in Dallas every weekend.
Yeah.
Abilene. I remember my boy saying that, and he used to go to Six Flags Mall in Arlington and get all their albums, and he loved both of them. And he met him at the Texas Relays, KB. And he thought that Paul Wall was black and Chameleonaire was Mexican. Before he actually met him. And this is a guy who was like listening to their stuff like on repeat.
Yeah, that's funny. That's very funny.
The Rhino says, damn, I've been working with Paul since day one. You saying back in the day makes me feel vintage. No, it's not vintage. We're both vintage, man. Millennials.
Hey, time comes for us all.
Yeah.
Time comes for us all. Speaking of soccer, Sean brought this up, and I'd have to show how heinous this is. Did anyone see the NFL soccer jerseys? This was the Texans soccer jersey.
Oh my God.
Look how bad that is.
Dude, that's $14.99 at Target.
That's $3.99 on the clearance rack at Ross. That is bad. Some of the other ones,
that is trash, dude.
Some of the other ones looked really cool. This one stunk.
Dude, I wouldn't rock that for free.
That's one of the great failings of the weather in Houston is I think hockey jerseys like the fans buy, or hockey sweaters, I mean, that fans buy, I think they look cool, and you would just you'd be able to wear them 3 days in Houston.
Dude, that's ass.
That's terrible. They could have done so much more stuff with it. It's awful. Even soccer people are like
the World Cup, all right?
Like the city?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a disaster.
I mean, they're trying to make like a downtown promenade. I'm like, why are you focusing on downtown? That's nowhere near where the soccer's going to happen.
Kyle says Paul Wall signs are getting old. That's a fact. The fact. That's me going boom. 100%. Shout out to everyone for joining us. Yes, that is a giveaway. Like, honestly, would you buy tickets if this were the giveaway? No,
I'd give those tickets away.
No, it's appropriate. Yeah, you leave it in the chair.
I tell you, man, some of them look real cool, and then that one just looked awful. I watched a soccer guy review them. He's like, "Oh, this kit looks good." But he's like, "Oh, this one's trash." It's like, okay, great. I think he gave the Texans like a 3 out of 10. Nope, we got a question. Nope, can't finish yet.
I feel like you've been trying to finish. I'm trying to hang out with the people a little bit more. You've been trying to finish quick.
No.
And you might find something sexual in that. I just think you're trying to finish
In what way do you think I've been trying to end the show? You just tried to hit the catchphrase.
You just kind of paused, dude.
Well, we were talking about the soccer jerseys and you know.
Kyle says Tony Hawk. You already said that. Tone Lock. You already said that.
Yep.
Sean Castillo says, anyone peep the NFL soccer jerseys? You just said that. So what's the next question?
What will Will make? We promised the people at the beginning. What will Will make? It's my question for you. Will Anderson. We talk about the CJ Stroud contract. Will's contract, it's easier to see how he's on the trajectory to get a huge contract. What will Will make?
It's going to be in the top 5 of AAV.
This is Defender's average annual value. So top 5 would be more than Chris Jones.
Yeah, I think he's going to be up there. I think he's going to be up there with Nick Bosa and Jones. It might actually be beneficial from a business standpoint to have Will miss a few games, but
oh, so you can Nico Collins him?
Yeah. But I think he's going to be right there in the Nick Bosa, Joshua Hines Allen kind of range right there. And I also think that Will Anderson, like, I don't want to say he's going to give the team a discount, but I don't think Will Anderson needs like a lot of money. And I mean, he's going to get a lot of money no matter what, but I do think he's going to trust D'Amico and trust Caserio to do what's best for the team and all that. So I don't think his goal is going to be to get every dollar possible.
I think that should.
I don't think he has the same negotiating tactics as CJ Stroud and Mulligetta.
I would. That should be Will's goal. I'd try to get $40 million a year if I was Will. But Caserio blew past the highest paid cornerback in football by $5 million a year.
He's not good at negotiating. Like, this was brought up today. I was actually talking to
Is another famous person?
I was talking to Aaron Wilson.
Okay, I was talking to Matthew McConaughey. We were just chopping it up.
No, I was talking to Aaron Wilson, and Aaron Wilson was talking about like he wasn't like he didn't have like a strong opinion, but he was basically talking about like Caserio negotiations, and like you remember when Dameon Pierce got like some crazy amount like as a 4th round pick? Remember that? I'd completely forgotten about that. But it was like some sort of like weird like guarantees for a 4th round pick. Remember that?
Yeah, it was something that they'd never given that
ever
spot in the draft before.
Ever. And then he's the first guy to give a 2nd rounder fully guaranteed money. And then you look at the Stingley thing and he gave Stingley $5 million like above the top. Like Caserio is a terrible negotiator. He just wants to get it done. You go back to him as a 2nd time, and he just wants to get it done.
He's not afraid to just overpay to get the deal done.
But
that goes with
Dameon Pierce thing. I completely forgot about the Dameon Pierce thing.
And he's the reason why half the 2nd round is not signed right now.
Yeah, and it's hilarious. But the crazy thing is though, like if you establish that relationship, how do you all of a sudden become a hardo when it matters more?
Yeah, that's why if I'm Will Anderson, I'm shooting for the moon.
Asking for 50.
I'm shooting for the moon.
Yeah, I don't know that Will is built like that, but I mean, if you're negotiating with Caserio, it's easy.
But the agent wants a win too.
Yeah, and she's great.
You know, so
she's got Bijan too. She's a badass. She's with Clutch.
Yeah, so the agent, I mean, Will could want this. The agent could say, "Hey, it's probably best if we go for this."
Plus, he's the face of the swarm.
By the way, if you wanted to tell me 2023 draft pick is getting contract extension, I'm more confident that Will Anderson's going to live up to his contract extension than CJ right now.
Cho says he'll get 60.
I mean,
Caserio's a great guy to negotiate with.
I also wonder too, again, from a year's standpoint, are they gonna go past?
No, they don't really get crazy with years.
Well, they've never had a guy like Will to negotiate with.
Or CJ. Yeah, I get that, but yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
This is like when the D-line sucked and nobody was there. All those contracts they signed before weren't very good. And they never went long on the years. Yeah, but none of those guys were Will or CJ.
But Caserio has established himself as a pretty shitty negotiator. I don't think that's unfair. Like I think there's a lot of things you can say, but he's established himself as a shitty negotiator. I've always been fair to him. Like never questioned him during the process over results phase or anything, but he has established himself as pretty shitty when it comes to negotiating contracts. He's bad.
He rarely gets a deal, like a discount. Like he pays sticker price and then some on some stuff.
No, he pays more than sticker price.
He pays sticker price and then some.
Yeah,
he's got to be a car dealership's dream. Come right this way, sir. Oh, would you like oil changes? Oh, would you like car washes? Oh, can I interest you in the premium interior package? Well, we have these new wheels that we'd like to put on. You know.
All right, so I got to ask you a question. This is a non-football question. This is a local question.
Vid etching.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
If I asked you as an outsider to describe El Tiempo, what would you say?
Some of the best margs and fajitas you'll find in Houston.
Okay. What if I don't like fajitas and I don't drink?
Then I'd tell you to go to a different restaurant.
Okay. It's fair.
Did I lay it out correctly?
It's very fair. It's very fair.
Yeah, I think that's there's not much, and I love a combo plate. I love to go into a Mexican food restaurant.
That's not a combo plate place, brother. That's
not a combo plate place.
Nah, that ain't a combo plate. That ain't combo place.
Get the fajitas, get some margs, call it a day if you're going El Tiempo, but don't even look at the rest of the menu.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's like that's as good as I could have possibly asked.
Yeah. Like
where do I go for the best barbecue?
What meat?
What do you mean? I'm going to a barbecue restaurant. I got a big crew with me.
You just want meat. You just want. Well, I think different barbecue places have different specials.
Oh, each of us like different stuff.
Well, then go to Truth because you can get.
By the way, Hosdoc says that El Tiempo is expensive. On Wednesday, they have combo fajitas for $40. On Mondays, they have $5 margaritas. House. So they're kind of coming around with that.
Everything's expensive now.
Yeah.
I'd say go to Truth. And if you don't want to wait in a line, go to Blood Brothers.
What's the place we went to?
Pit Room.
Pit Room is nice.
That's where I would tell you.
Less of a wait.
Yeah, Pit Room's got 2 locations. The Pit Room Memorial has like a ton of stuff outside of their barbecue too. Their queso's good. Their queso's very good.
This dude's talking about barbecue, and he just said,
"Yeah, I just said they have." You just told me I'm going with a crew. Not everybody wants something.
Queso.
Like
I asked for a barbecue recommendation, and this dude said queso.
No, I didn't. I did not say queso.
They got good queso.
You didn't want to have a barbecue conversation. You just wanted a general.
Patrick has a really good point. Per use, he says pit room breakfast tacos are amazing. Yes, they are. And the other good thing about them, they have cold brew on tap.
There you go.
Yeah. So shout out to Pit Room. And you got the ice cream back there and the bar and all that. It's nice.
I'm talking about barbecue. This guy's talking about ice cream.
Talking about the scene, man.
That's what I was talking about too. And then I got railed for bringing up the queso, which is good.
Nah, you're bringing up something that has to do with the meal. I'm bringing up something that
accompanies the meal
and something that is after the meal.
Ice
after
cream
the
and
meal
what
is
you
ice
drink
cream.
is not a part of the meal. Like, you know when a meal ends? Dumbass. I don't like your tone when we talk about barbecue.
Hey, I have a sales idea for you. I don't even want to wait till we get off here. I want some like feedback here because I throw like ideas your way And I feel like I just get hiked over because you have a better sales instinct than me. Do you
That's
want
not
this
true.
idea or not?
I take into account all your questions.
Do you want this idea or not? Because I think it's good. I kind of feel like I've slept on this place, and I feel like they've deserved to be slept on. But I also think they're kind of on the brink right now where they got to get their ish together. Like they got to get their ish together. And I know Shaq's invested in all that, but they got to get their ish together, especially locally in Whataburger country.
I'm intrigued to hear who this is.
Are you? Was that a good tease?
I wasn't really interested until you told me Shaq was invested, and then I'm like, okay.
Shaq's been invested. Shaq's been very heavily invested in this place. I think we need to hit up Five Guys.
Oh, I hate that place.
Well, so much for that. Why do you hate it though? You hate it because they don't have value, and it's not necessarily a fast food spot, right?
I get my money's worth when I go there because I know the bacon trick.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily a fast food spot.
No, not a fast food spot.
But I think we should hit up Five Guys, and we should have, after each Texans game, the top 5 guys presented by Five Guys.
I'll work on that for the locker room, but that's a no thank you for the Cody Stoots channel.
What's the bacon trick?
Oh, if you add bacon, you can add as much bacon as you want. They'll give you unlimited bacon, basically.
So what does that mean?
You pay once for bacon, and then you get as much bacon on your burger as you'd like.
What?
So if you go to Whataburger and you add bacon to your burger, they charge you once, you get 2 strips. You go to Five Guys, you add bacon to your burger, they charge you once, and then you tell them how much bacon you want on your burger.
So you can say like 6 strips?
Yes.
Oh, I mean, but do you really like bacon on the burger that much?
Well, then I take the bacon and crumble it up on the fries and make me some loaded fries.
Okay. They stack it up with the fries. That's good. But they tax fools, dude. Let's be real. They tax fools.
Okay, they might as well open up shop next to every payday loan place in the world because you got to take a payday loan out to go get them.
Yeah, Cody's got all the hacks. He's got the don't ask for salt without fries. Ask for, what was the one you said yesterday? 2 days ago?
I had a food hack for people 2 days ago.
Yeah, it was ask for something through a drive-through.
They'll double dip your cone at DQ for no extra charge.
No, it wasn't that. No, it was something with the something with the sandwich or something. It was something with Cane's, I think.
You could swap your slaw for fries.
No. Dude, you had something because your Whataburger, like fries with no salt, was always kind of legendary to me because your fat ass would actually order the fry. This was crazy. This was actually a dickhead move by you, if we're being honest.
I would never do it when they're busy.
No. I mean, it was fine, but you would literally ask for fries with no salt, and then you would ask for a side of salt.
Correct.
Yes, that was
if we went inside, they had the salt out. They used to have the salt out, so I would just go get it.
Yes, but if we drove through, you would say fries with no salt, and then you would say, "Could I get?" They would ask, "Do you want ketchup or whatever?" And you would say, and this was before spicy.
4 fancy ketchups and salt.
Yeah, 4 fancy ketchups and a side of salt. So you would. There was the ultimate dickhead move, but you had another hack too.
I don't remember what it was.
What was it? Well, like what fast food places we were talking about? Wendy's. I think it was a Wendy's.
Well, I haven't been to Wendy's in a long time.
Jack in the Box.
Oh yeah, there's no lettuce on your
taco.
Yeah, no lettuce on your tacos. No lettuce on your tacos, and they'll make your taco fresh at Jack in the Box.
Yeah, okay, that's what it was. Yes.
Because when they pre-make them, they have the lettuce in there.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
God, the Whataburger was hilarious.
The best to do it is McDonald's because nothing beats a hot McDonald's fry.
Dude, why does Whataburger treat that large fry a little bit stingy?
They used to load it up, man.
They're
used to love
stingy
it.
now.
You know why? Because they got bought out. That's why.
Arby's is the most criminally the large fry is such a disadvantage because they use the paper, like the square paper for the large, and for the small it's like soft paper. So you get completely screwed on the large fries there.
I saw some gal that worked at Olive Garden giving all the Olive Garden secrets the other day.
All right, send me that, please.
I'll send
Let
you
me
that.
get off. Yeah, send me that, please.
She
I
was-
know you order extra crispy. You order the postie with the extra crispy chicken parm.
extra crispy chicken bar.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever ordered that. Is that what Post Malone does?
yeah,
Oh, well, that's a good tip actually.
that's my dog. But Neon says Whataburger has declined. I'm just gonna say this. No, I won't say it. I won't say it. It's been piling up though, man. And my dad.
Are you done with them?
I'm not done with them, man. I can't be done. It's just so hit or miss at this point. My dad is like the biggest Whataburger guy in the world. One of my best friends who we used to eat at Whataburger every day. I don't even want to say it. I don't want to lose viewers. I'll let this go.
What is it? Tell me. Is this something your dad's going to yell at you for?
No, he agrees now at this point. It's kind of sad, dude. And I know that there's a lot of people who, if you pee in a beer can and you call it beer, they'll say it's the best Texas beer there is. In-N-Out's better than Whataburger now, man. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's a result of the quality, the consistency, or whatever. I'm sorry. And you listen to Gordon Ramsay talk. Gordon Ramsay says that's his one cheat meal, all that. In-N-Out's better than Whataburger. It pains me to say. I just got to be honest with you. Sorry.
They've always had better service.
Sorry.
They've always had better service.
Sorry.
I don't like the food that much at In-N-Out. Like, obviously, if the option is a well-prepared In-N-Out or a poorly prepared Whataburger, I'm taking the well-prepared In-N-Out.
No, but you at least get the well-prepared In-N-Out no matter what.
Mhm.
100%. It's up there with Chick-fil-A. It's up there with Cane's.
It just
Like,
always,
it's
it's
going to
just,
be the same thing you order every time. If you go to Cane's and you go to Chick-fil-A and the fast food game, well, Chick-fil-A actually is kind of hit or miss now too. But if you go to Cane's and you go to In-N-Out, you're going to get 100% the same service no matter what. And you're going to get the same quality. Whataburger in there.
only problem with In-N-Out is it's always busy.
And the fries are trash. Everyone always says, but they're a little bit solid. But Whataburger, you're not getting good fries. That's the thing. Like if Whataburger had McDonald's fries, then this would change. Whataburger's fries are very Whataburger's fries. Like if Whataburger's fries were an NFL player on a consistency level, who would they be?
On a consistency level?
Consistency level, Whataburger's fries, who would they be?
I mean, it can't be anybody that was consistent. Like there's about as I mean, when you get a perfect batch of Whataburger fries, they're awesome, but you never get that.
Rarely.
You never get that.
They're not stingy with the sauce.
That's fine. I mean, but usually you need the sauce to cover up the cold fries.
Yeah, it's rough, man.
The biscuits are the biscuits aren't as fluffy at Whataburger as they used to be too.
I've never liked those. Never liked those.
Okay.
And the taquitos are there, but yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's almost an afterthought because you just can't even trust that it's going to be good.
Yeah, it hurts me to say, and it's not necessarily me acting like I want to eat it In-N-Out all the time. I'm just saying, like, if I want a burger and I want some fries and I want like some freshness, it's not really a fair competition. I'm sorry, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Like you don't even know what you don't even know like what your lettuce is going to be like, what the cheese is going to be melted like, what the tomato
if it's even melted.
Yeah, there's no standard. Like McDonald's is you know why McDonald's has sustained themselves? It's not from any commercial. When's the last time you remember seeing a McDonald's commercial?
I mean, I've seen one recently, I think.
Yeah, but does it even like hit? Do you even care?
No.
They advertise stuff that you'll never get, like when it comes to like the chicken fingers or whatever. Although I did try them, but like,
Rye.
yeah, trash, horrible. Like, what are y'all doing?
It's awful.
Yeah, awful trash. But like you know what you're getting. Like the soda, that McDonald's soda is crack, bro. Like McDonald's soda is crack, homie. Like it is. I make fun of you for being a soda addict. If I went to McDonald's all the time, I would be like their soda, for some reason it hits like crack.
Well, they have a deal with Coke that they can change the syrup distribution versus the industry standard.
Okay, well, whatever they have, it hits like crack.
Yeah.
So you have that. The burgers, always the same texture, always the same thing, like all that, like it's all the same. Like it's a clear standard. It doesn't exist a lot, man.
Yeah, to start the show talking about standards, and then here we are, the places that have let their standards slip. Like Whataburger let their standards slip.
And it's almost like, oh, that's what happens when you get bought out by Chicago.
I mean, private equity ruins a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get it. But hey, when let me just make this very clear. When Whataburger hits, it hits. No one's ever going to deny the feeling of the Whataburger. You get your number. You sit down. You walk over to the drink tank. You push the ice. You look up. You can mix your like sodas and everything's perfect. You sit down. You see a bunch of drunk ass mofos over there hanging out. All of a sudden, you look up. My number's called. Wrong number. You're kind of disappointed, and you're sitting down like, damn, where's my food coming? Then all of a sudden, here it comes. Boom. They bring out the tray. How many ketchups would you like, sir? You grab as many ketchups as you want. You grab the napkin. You sit down. It's nice and hot. You got that burger folded in the yellow. You unfold it. You fries. You put down. If they're hot, they're hot. And then you open your trays of ketchup. You dip your fries in them. Boom. The burger, all that, all the order. It's great. You just don't consistently experience that.
Yeah, it's you got a better chance of winning the lottery twice before you get two awesome Whataburgers.
It is. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Subscribe, like, ride along. Always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. John McClain on the night stream tomorrow at 10:30. Hit him with it, Stoots.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.